I talk a lot about being 100% invested and using margin, but there's one part of this entire process that I think is way more important than the margin itself. That is positive cash flow. Welcome back to Rookie on Margin. My name is Susan, and I am documenting my journey of being fully invested while using margin. I'm learning as I go, and if you're someone who's also learning as they go, if you're curious about margin, or if you just want to follow my journey through this process, you're in the right place. I do want to point out that I am not a financial advisor, I'm not a financial expert in any way, shape, or form. I am just documenting my journey, and this is for entertainment purposes only. I do want to give a shout out to Mike from Recycle Your Money. His investing strategy is the one that I'm following, so please check out his channel. I will leave a link for you guys to check that out. In this video, I want to explain one really important difference between the way I'm using margin and the way other strategies using covered calls are using margin. So on the surface, they can look very, very similar. In both strategies, you might see someone living out of their brokerage account and using margin for everyday expenses. But the biggest difference is, where does the money come from to pay the margin back? That's where this investing strategy that I'm using is different. With some strategies I've seen, the goal is to invest 100% of the paycheck, while margin is used to cover everyday expenses. And instead of using the next paycheck to pay that margin down, the portfolio is designed to generate income. And that income most likely comes from covered calls. So just to give you a very simple example, the flow of that strategy looks something like this. The paycheck will come in and 100% of that paycheck will get invested. Margin is then used for expenses, and the covered calls generate income, which will then be used to help pay down the margin. So in that type of strategy, the portfolio itself is helping create the cash flow that's being used to manage the margin balance. That's not what I'm doing though. I am using money from my paycheck to pay down margin that I've already used. And after the margin is paid down, whatever money is left over is basically my excess cash flow. That's the money that I invest. If you haven't seen it yet, I do have another video where I explain my entire money flow process in a lot more detail. I'll leave a link to that video if you guys want to check it out. So my flow looks more like this. Margin covers my expenses and my paycheck pays down margin. Then whatever is left over gets invested. That's the part that I really want to make clear. My margin isn't being paid back by dividends or covered call income, and I'm not depending on my portfolio to produce enough income to pay down my margin. My paycheck is paying down the margin. And I think a really simple example will make this easier to understand. So let's say payday comes around, and at that point, I've used $1,000 in margin. And let's say my paycheck is about $2,000, right? When the $2,000 gets deposited, the first $1,000 is basically paying down my margin balance. So once that margin is paid down, I don't suddenly have $2,000 of new money available to invest. I've already spent $1,000 of it. What I actually have left is $1,000. So whatever is actually left after all my expenses are covered is my positive cash flow. And in this example, it would be $1,000. That's the money that's gonna be available to grow my portfolio. Now let's take a look at what would happen if I didn't have positive cash flow. So let's say I make $4,000 every month, but I also spend $4,000 every month and I pay those expenses using margin. At this point, everything I earn is being spent. And if I consistently spend more than I make, then this becomes a big problem because now my margin balance is growing instead of shrinking. Also, I'm paying interest on that borrowed money. Margin does not fix negative cash flow. So for me right now, I really want to focus on growing my taxable brokerage account. That is something that's very important to me. I am more interested in owning investments that I believe have long-term growth potential than I am in trying to make my portfolio produce a lot of income today. I'm prioritizing growth over income. This is a strategy that aligns with my own personal goals. Everybody has their own different future plans. Investing is not a one-size-fits fits all. You guys can choose the investing strategy that fits your own personal goals and financial goals. But for me, this is the investing strategy that really resonates with me. And this is the reason why I am documenting my journey and sharing it with you guys. So overall, there are really three separate things happening in this investing strategy that I'm using. First, I have income coming in from my job. Second, because I earn more than I spend, I have positive cash flow. And third, I have an investment strategy where I'm choosing to prioritize growth. So yeah, I hope this video kind of helped to explain the difference in how margin is paid down depending on what type of investment strategy you're using. I know when I first started, this was one of the hurdles that I had to kind of figure out because on the surface, again, everything kind of looks similar when you're looking at the covered call strategies and when you're looking at Mike's strategy for being fully invested in growth ETFs. So yeah, thank you guys for reaching the end of this video. I really appreciate all your guys' support and I really appreciate all the comments you guys leave. It really, really means a lot. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. I wish you guys the best on your investment journey. I wish you guys the best on achieving financial freedom, financial success, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.